No. Have a drink. For everyone listening, what did I just do, Grace? As you take a sip. Water rations.
Yeah, no. What have we been talking for about 10 minutes? And
3?
okay. Well,
that's not that bad.
3 minutes. And no one hit record. I don't think
no
job,
one being me.
so
you can bring that mic a bit closer as well. I think I'm just looking at the levels now.
Usually, I feel like I talk really loud and a lot.
So. No, you're quite soft actually. I feel like I'm projecting right now.
I'm swaying in the chair. I keep hitting the tables.
Yeah, don't worry. Like I was literally doing that when testing everything earlier. I had the headphones right there. But we were talking women's golf earlier and how I didn't know that the women's PGA was coming to Wollongong. Yeah. So after explaining that for 3 minutes earlier, could you explain that again on the record this time?
Yeah, so any golf nerds out there, including my father, who's probably going to listen to the episode, the women's PGA is coming to Wollongong this week. The Pro-Am starts tomorrow and then the 4 rounds of the actual PGA Tour starts on Thursday. I believe it's sponsored by Ford, this tournament. It's the New South Wales Women's Open.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a local girl, Denny Vasquez, that I interviewed today, or Denny Vasquez Boyd, who I interviewed today. She is back home for her first tournament here since turning pro, which is so exciting for her. Family and friends going to be watching. Which was a cool pick to set up today.
Yeah, so that was at Wollongong Golf Club because I drove past JJ Kelly Park. Now that you say Ford, it sort of clicked in my brain right now. I drove past JJ Kelly Park and there was like these 50, 100, 150 set up and had Ford all around. I was like, what's actually going on? So they're doing like a driving range there or something like that? Do you know?
They've got the range out. They've got a green set up just for putting practice, and I believe they had a practice 18 holes this afternoon. They were teeing, I think it was shotgun start from 1 o'clock or something like that.
Yeah.
Or I could just be making that up. But
that's all right. We'll run with it.
Round.
And you went to the Hawks at the Snake Pit as well. So they're heading up to Melbourne as we speak, recording on a Tuesday.
Yes.
Game 4's tomorrow night. I'm a little bit nervous, but they don't look nervous according to you?
I am nervous. They don't seem nervous. I'll selfishly plug myself here. I do have a yarn that went out at 5:30.
Yep.
So as
shout out to
right
the Merc.
now, it's like 20 minutes ago that went out.
Yep.
But Tyler Harvey is super excited, super confident about the game, which is good because, even if we're not confident, we're a little bit nervous. At least the players are who matters.
My favourite, Traw, the man.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're watching our socials last Wednesday night, but it just turned into a Tyler Harvey fan account for like 24 hours. And
that's so
with
fine.
good reason. How easy to talk to anyway, I've got to ask.
Yeah, he's got a surprisingly quiet voice. I will admit that. Tyler, if you're watching, that's not a dig.
No, he seems very mellow, very soft.
But no, I mean, the first thing he said was sunglasses on or off.
Yeah, right.
Personally, I was all for the sunnies staying on.
Yeah.
It was some nice drip.
Nice.
But he took them off at the directive of Win News.
Oh, come on, Win. Can you imagine if he was like on the 6 o'clock bulletin tonight and he's got the shades on and everything like that? Was that what's the local hat he always wears? It's like always local, something like that.
Almost local.
Almost local,
like
yeah.
That. Pretty much. I think pretty much local.
Pretty much local. That's the one. Says. Yeah. That's the only.
I want to know where he got that hat from.
Yeah, I've actually. There's probably a company now that we think about it.
Yeah.
But
Probs.
yeah, like because I spoke to Joe, their GM, about it, and he's pretty close with Tyler.
I saw them getting coffee the other day.
Oh, so that coffee meetup we talked about a couple of weeks ago. That's it. Where was it at? Let me guess.
It was at. Okay, you guess.
Bread Espresso and. Nailed
it. Yeah, I was on my hot girl walk and I saw them both and I don't think they recognise me. I'm not that important yet.
Oh, don't worry though. I don't reckon Joe would have even recognised me and he spoke with me for an hour. But what's been doing anyway? So you had a decent Sunday, was it you were saying? So you did Wolves and Hawks?
Sunday was super busy. I had a 12 p.m. start because the Wolves, the football or the soccer, depending on what you call it, they started at 3 p.m. And then that finished at, I think it was 4:45 or 5 o'clock after injury time because someone broke their nose. So
yes, I did have that down.
That was, unfortunate for Dylan Ryan, I believe it was. But once that was done, I wrote up the yarn, finished it, press publish, and then I drove straight to the Hawks and was doing social content for the second half.
Oh, that works well. So where were the Wolves playing at?
I think it's called Macedonian
Oh,
Park.
I was in Berkeley, yeah. Because I was going to say, I was just like, how'd you drive there? I don't know. Aren't they usually like next door? I was like, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah.
They would have played somewhere else.
Well, I lied. I'm too scared to try and find a park around Win Entertainment. So I actually parked at work and then I walked the 15 minutes to the stadium.
Oh, like that's literally like I just find a side street and I'll just walk because like it's just not worth it.
I'm still too new. I don't know which side streets are illegal.
No, they're all illegal in the end. It comes to the time when they're all illegal. But yeah, so well, that sounds like a very interesting weekend. I spent my weekend furniture shopping.
Oh, that's
for
so
a new
fun,
house. Yeah, it is fun. Very overwhelming, I must say.
Yeah.
Especially when you check your bank account afterwards.
Well, I do that and I'm not shopping for a house or anything. I just do it because it's fun.
It's fun. It actually is enjoyable until you check IMB afterwards. And yeah, then I was on Fox Sports News on Sunday night, pretty much. No, shameless plug and everything like that. You know,
we're 1-1 for plugs.
1-1 for plugs at the moment. Yeah, it was. I tell you what, because there was the hot and windy day, and
ridiculous.
When you have to read a prompter at 11 o'clock at night with your eyes fried after wind, it's just like it's literally survive.
Yeah, it was ugly weather on Sunday.
Oh, and then it just dropped out of nowhere.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway. It's going to be hot again tomorrow. Right, so before we get into sport, like this is a local pod, but mostly sport. But I'm going to put you on the spot here, and it's nothing. I don't reckon it's too difficult. So I have a segment called Top Gong, right?
Yeah.
And last week it was favorite coffee shops, top coffee shops. Right, so you've relaxed a bit now that you know what it is.
Yeah, I'm a snob with that. So.
Yeah, that's good. So. If you could pick a couple or one or whatever, because you're new as a local, where would you pick?
Can I have a top three?
You can have a top three.
Is that possible?
As many as you want.
Okay. Give me real quick second just to order my...
That's completely fine. I had down Bread Espresso and I like them. I had only discovered them like a month ago.
Really?
It was actually...
I discovered them before you.
It was literally, I discovered it by watching Joe's Instagram stories.
Right.
And he'd be there every single morning. So I'm just like, it must be decent if he's going there. There's one which I don't think you would have been to because it's actually nestled away. It's called Smith's Lane Dairy. It's only like a kilometre from where I live. And it's like at the foot of the escarpment. It's like this old like miner's cottage. It's super nice. But their coffee there is good. And I've been told the Crazy Horse in Ferry Meadow is nice.
Crazy Horse?
The Crazy Horse. I know.
I feel like the weirder the name, the better the coffee is.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
100%.
Yeah. Really niche. I don't know. It's just something about niche names.
Yes.
It's like
unique.
You know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, have you got one?
Okay, yes, I do. And I think I'm going to stray away from the top three only because as soon as I go from 1 to 3, I end up having 5.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go straight out and 8 Nonnas.
8 Nonnas?
Yeah.
They're good?
Hear me out.
Yeah?
Hear me out.
I've never been, so I can't comment, but I just know them as a restaurant.
It is. It's definitely a restaurant. It's definitely more restaurant than it is cafe. But there is an 8 Nonnas. I don't know where I saw a second one the other day. It was on my TikTok outside. Now? There was a stabbing in Sydney and there was video footage of the stabbing being cleaned up. I'm so sorry. I've brought up
Sorry,
a stabbing.
we've really just downgraded this. Wow.
But on the TikTok of it being cleaned up, there was an 8 Nonnas sign there.
Oh.
So there must be one in Sydney.
Expanding. But the coffee there is good.
Yeah, but I digress. The coffee is really good. I am an iced latte gal.
Okay. So you're a cold coffee person.
I'm a cold coffee girl.
So I can't do that.
And to be honest, every 6 months I change. So I go through a chai phase. I go through a cappuccino phase. I go through a latte phase. Right now I'm in my iced coffee, my iced latte on skim with vanilla, sometimes an extra shot depending on how much sleep I had. But no, 8 Nonnas. The iced coffees are really nice. And I actually feel like the best part, which gives it bonus points, is they have the most delicious selection of focaccias. you will ever see.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. I tell myself I'm going to save and then it hits like 9:45, 10 a.m. after our daily meeting and I'm like, I'm going to go get a coffee.
Yeah.
And I come back with a focaccia. Every day without fail.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So.
Yeah. See, I'm when you said the chais, I just sort of just like thinking girlfriend straight away, chai lattes or caramel lattes. But I am like with coffee, I have to have it warm. Doesn't matter what time of year. Yeah. It's just like, I don't know. When I think coffee, I just think that's the purest form, warm coffee.
Yeah.
But I just like, if I'm sitting at a cafe, I'm having a cappuccino. And if I take it away, I'm having a latte. Because realistically, the cappuccino is like, the chocolate on the top's gone with the lid anyway, so it's not worth it.
The cappuccino is for when you want a coffee but you want a sweet treat.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But you don't want to pay for both.
Treat yourself.
Exactly.
Yes, 100%.
And sometimes when I don't feel like a cappuccino, I will shamelessly ask for marshmallows on the side of my latte.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even care. I don't care how many people judge me for that. I will admit it. Because I don't always want a hot chocolate or a cappuccino.
Hit me with the mushrooms.
Yeah.
Superb. Well, we digress for coffee now because we're actually going to get into sport now.
Fantastic.
The Hawks, at the time of recording, they're 2-1 down in this championship series. But I want to revisit some better times. And by better times, I mean literally last Wednesday where Tyler, our Lord and Saviour Harvey, dropped to 3 with about 10 seconds to go. After literally giving up 3 points about 5 seconds earlier. Yeah. We'll get into it later on, but 10 points at 3/4 time and with that tied, I was a bit nervous. Yeah,
well, I'm always nervous, but I'm in a constant state of nervous. But, that definitely doesn't help.
No, no.
And especially after you go down in game one, the confidence isn't necessarily high.
Yeah.
And after giving away 3 points from down the stretch, it's hard to come back and keep a positive mindset and take a hard shot under so much pressure.
But I felt like, you could probably attest to this more than me, but Tyler seems like such a chill dude and not everything could go wrong and he'd still mentally just nothing would faze him in a way.
Absolutely. And like he was saying today when we were having the presser right before they left, I asked, it's a do or die game. The pressure must be different now. The vibe must be different. And he goes, no, it's been do or die the whole series. It's the same thing. It's been do or die all year pretty much. This is just, you just got to win a game. And he said, they're all feeling fine. They're all feeling confident as ever. I think nerves are scared of Tyler Harvey.
Yeah.
If anything, I think it's the other way around. I have never seen that man stress and I've never seen that man not take a clutch shot.
No.
When he's given the opportunity.
I remember seeing a video of him and he was actually explaining it's just I think like you said, it was this college or high school game he played and he went the whole game shooting a 3, didn't nail 1. And he got to the last quarter and they were down below 30. And this could have been high school or something like that. They were down by 30. He hit 10 threes in a row, he said.
Yeah, wow.
And
Can you do that tomorrow night?
I would love that if you could do that tomorrow night.
Preferably to start the game as well.
Preferably, yeah. I don't want to be down by 30 by a 3/4 time. But he wasn't saying it to sort of just spruik himself up. He was sort of saying it's just the whole point is just it doesn't matter if he misses.
Yeah.
He will keep on shooting because he backs himself the whole time.
And even if, I suppose on that point, even if they weren't down by 30, and this is all theoretical because no one here has watched that game, but even if you are down by 30, it only takes one shot to get the momentum going.
It's a game of momentum, isn't it? As
absolutely.
A Fresh Air fan, it's, particularly this series in particular, 5 minutes, 5-minute runs, you'd be like, oh, yeah, we're back on top. And then next time it's okay, it's back level. And then we're on top again. And then it's just seesawing.
Or in our case, 3/4 and you're up and then full time you're down.
Yeah, I was actually on set when the game was on, and I checked my phone in between a break.
Oh, that's so
and we were
depressing.
up by I think we were up by maybe 7 or 10.
Yeah.
It was like late third quarter. I was just like, okay, this is looking good. This is looking good. And then I literally, once I'm done, I flick on the TV 2 minutes ago and we're down by like 5, and I'm just like,
Yeah. It's not a great feeling. It's not a great feeling.
it's not work. But before we get into game 4, though, we'll just rattle off a few little things from game 3. So Harvey finished with 24. Sam Froling finished with 23. He was a beast this game. Trey Kell finished with 18 points in the end. Interesting though, he was only 5 from 17 from the field, which kind of stood out. How many free throws? 7 free throws. There you go. So he shot the most free throws in that contest, and I mean, it's a sort of give me 2 points kind of deal when Trey's at the free throw line. But yeah, so 102-100 was the winning game 3, but we're only going to touch over that because game 4 is the most recent one. And
game 3 is the most
game 3 is the most recent one. Thank you. I was talking about game 2. Thanks for picking me up. This is why I've got you in here. This is why I got you in here.
I was like, the math isn't mathing for me.
No, I've got my eyes towards tomorrow night already. But I would love to get your sort of take on this game because for employment reasons. Employment reasons, I missed all but 2 minutes of this game. But the thing that stood out to me mostly was fourth quarters. Did you see the post by the NBL today about their fourth quarters?
Yeah, I believe it was the last 6 fourth final quarters we have gone down, which is also half of that against Phoenix, where Phoenix by the end of the semi-final series had won 14 of their last 15 fourth quarters.
That's a great point.
So,
right, okay.
I can almost excuse the Phoenix thing because that's their thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a Josh, what's his?
I've completely blanked.
Josh King.
Josh King, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know if that's a Josh King thing or if that's just a Phoenix players thing, but that was a Phoenix go-to to win the final quarter. I don't necessarily excuse it in grand final series, especially when 2 of them are at home and you had the upper hand over Melbourne throughout the season, throughout the regular season. Yeah. So I don't know what happens in the fourth quarter. I don't think it's a fitness thing because you watch them work out and it's like boom, boom, boom. Maybe it's a mentality thing.
It's kind of interesting, and I've sort of thought about this. Did that 3-4 week break after the season hurt them a bit? Because I feel like outside of obviously that last Southeast Melbourne game and a bit of game 2 in here, I don't feel like I don't know. It's just there's that killer overpowering instinct they had for a lot of the year that I don't know. Maybe it's because they're playing better teams more regularly, but I don't know. Did that 4 week break hurt them a bit more than what we think?
I think to an extent, yes, but I think it's too far into getting back to gameplay to point to the FIBA break, if that makes sense. Yeah. At this point, both teams have had the same amount of break and the same amount of play because Melbourne were a top 2 team as well. So they had 3 play-in games before now. The funny thing to note is the first FIBA break when we had 3 of our Hawks go and play and travel overseas. That's a good point. That meant that the week or so that they were away, back home, you had the squad missing them and not training as a whole crew.
Good point. Yeah.
They came back and they lost to Phoenix and then they lost to Cairns. This time, you don't have any Hawks come back. Yeah. You don't have any Hawks. First of all, the FIBA break was here, so you didn't have anyone traveling.
Didn't have to go. Yeah.
But there was a big break, and they came back and they versed Phoenix, and they won in game 1. So I was worried during the FIBA break that it would have that effect, but I think having everyone in the squad training together while everything was going on meant they were all in the same headspace. They were all in the same physical space and they were prepared. And it's been 2 or 3 weeks now.
Yeah. So it's kind of like
they
don't have any excuses anyway,
no.
but it's like,
and if they had an
point.
excuse, Melbourne would have the same excuse.
Exactly right. Yeah, good point. But in terms of game 3, was it just the fourth quarter in particular that stood out for you, or was there something else in particular that was sort of like glaring?
Not necessarily anything from the Hawks' perspective. I think the fact that Jack White had an absolute heater after...
Hates a free throw.
Yeah, he does hate a free throw.
I just slaughtered in there. Sorry, Jack.
Yeah, look, that's not his favourite shot of all, but he played a lot better than he had in game 1 and 2, and he was due for a game like that. And then the other thing was Delhi popping off and getting 11 assists for 0 turnovers.
He is
for
good
the
at that.
first time. What was it? First time in final series
I think
history.
so was, yeah.
Like that's not a stat that you can just brush over.
No, like possession is everything in pretty much every sport.
In a game where, especially in a series where Hawks in the regular season were, I believe, leading the competition in points per possession or something like 1.12 points per possession.
Wow, that's very specific.
This
is why I brought you in.
Don't quote me, that's the last time I remember seeing it.
Like Albert Einstein, I love it.
Well, also, like we have that stat where we're the first team to average over 100 points for an entire regular season since New Zealand and Melbourne in the 08-09 season.
That's right, yeah.
So our regular season statistics and our regular season possessions were uncanny.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's almost like we've flipped a switch and we've thought that we're so great in the regular season with that we don't need to try 100%.
Yeah.
But in saying that, I think it was more Melbourne really stood out instead of us necessarily losing up until the fourth quarter, and then the fourth quarter was our fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just was it a collapse, do you think?
Look, I was on content duty, so I didn't even I didn't even have time to check the score. I was checking the score every 3 minutes, and every time I looked at it, it would be something completely different to what I thought. I thought we were up by 15 points and we were only up by 6.
Yeah.
And then I thought, we're only 3 ahead, and I look up and we're down by 2. So it was hard. It was definitely hard to follow. But actually, my dear mother, she had this thought, and I'm going to claim it as I'm not going to claim it as my own. It's my mum's. But she thought as a spectator. She thought as a spectator from home that the third quarter wasn't long enough. Like you think about how we were on such a momentum streak towards the end there, especially Darius Days. You know, he came on and he did his job, and he was being the Darius Days that we signed way back in August last year. I think that the third quarter finishing was actually what stopped us.
Yeah.
Because we needed that momentum, or we needed to start that 5 minutes earlier in the quarter.
Yeah. Darius Day is one of the best ads of all time as well. He features in. Have you seen her?
No.
I'm going to have to get this up.
Which one?
I'm going to have to get this up. The physio ad.
I have not looked
I'm
at
going
it.
to I'm going to find this. I'm going to have to give it a
Oh, hey, I'm Darius Days, and I have foot pain for days. No, really, days.
It's just goofy.
Look at this place. They got physio for days. Surgery for days. They've got orthotics for days.
It's
they got
so
rehab for
good,
days.
man.
This is my favorite
You could tell
thing.
he's
They
just
got
having
X-rays and ultrasounds for days. From head to toe, Joint Vision got you covered. Joint Vision, they have solutions for days.
It's the best.
Okay.
It is the
That
best
is-
thing ever. I cannot
that's
believe you haven't seen that in the
genius.
game yet.
No,
It was
don't
my
know why I
favorite
haven't
thing.
either.
It is my favorite thing of all time now.
God, I can't wait to watch that ad live.
It's just bro's goofy smile every
Yeah.
time.
I want to know how much convincing it took to make him say that.
Absolutely zero, I can guarantee it. And there was like that, can Lee shoot for 3 or something? And there was like, there was some concrete company or something that rhymed with Lee. Anyway, I
No, I love
digress
that.
from Hawks player ads. But Trey Kell is and you were sort of mentioning this off air.
Yeah.
I'm a bit nervous for him.
I'm nervous too. Anyone who was at the snake pit today probably saw him walking gingerly, I would describe it. Definitely not confidently.
So it's bone bruising, you were saying?
Bone bruising. The official statement from the Hawks is bone bruising.
Mm-hmm.
So it's supposed to be a game day decision.
Yeah.
But I don't know. My heart breaks because, you know, he's a fan favourite.
Gun to head, does he play tomorrow night?
What's that sound?
Sorry, I'm not actually getting a gun. No.
What's that TikTok saying? Gun to the head. Oh, pull the trigger.
Oh, God, our brains have just been completely fried by
Modern Family one.
bite-sized content. Oh, yeah, pull the trigger.
Well, one, because I love Modern Family, so I know the sound, and I love that it's trending. But we're not pulling the trigger right now, so honestly, I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, I don't think he does either. Based off what you said and the way he limped off, I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah, he does. He doesn't look happy. I'm going to say that out loud. And
if he's gingerly walking 24 hours before a game, I am not convinced. So hypothetically, if he doesn't play, mind you, we did have that for the last 3-4 games of the season. And we had Toddy Blanchfield
and Hickey it was a bit in the starting lineup, yeah.
Toddy Blanchfield stepped up, Darius stepped up big time. I mean, I was actually talking to a work colleague of mine who's a season ticket holder, and she didn't think we could. If she said if Kel's out tomorrow night, I don't know if we can win. And I'm just like, I think we might.
Yeah, I mean, you look at how Melbourne adapted without Illy, and
which he might be in too tomorrow.
Yeah, that's the latest. But he arguably is. Well, he's arguably, if we had an import v local All-Stars game, he'd be on our local team.
Yeah.
And they did just fine without him. And I think, if anything, having one of your players like that out is actually motivation, which is funny. Well, look, guys, it's not funny. But
ironic.
Ironic. When Trey Kell went off during the game, I actually thought, this is our chance, because I thought it was going to be a momentum switch. And the boys kind of get around and be like, you know what, this is when we have to lift. It's not what happened, but I have confidence that if he doesn't play, it might actually be the fire that we needed. And as you say, end of the regular season, he was injured and we had I needed to adapt. I will say it's interesting they didn't take any additional development players with them on the bus.
Didn't they? Right.
No.
That's interesting.
So that was just an observation.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I find it hard to believe that they would fly someone down within an hour's notice to Melbourne.
No, they wouldn't.
Tomorrow. So whether that means that they personally have high confidence, or if that means that they're just going to roll with one less on the roster tomorrow. But we've seen how they play without Trey Kell, and we've seen how they play without Trey Kell and Days at the same time, because they were injured at the same time. So even if Days hadn't have stepped up towards the end when he was coming back, we still had Hickey in the starting lineup.
Toddy Blanchfield was huge as well.
Blanchfield, everyone knew their role.
Yeah.
And I think this kind of gives also, with a little bit of shuffle in that guard position, in a 3 with Lee coming on for some more minutes perhaps as well, because in the limited minutes that he's had, he's been very, very good.
Yeah, well, that's what I sort of chatted about this to the brick wall last week when I was on my own. Sorry, I'm blown up. I was so surprised that in game 1 he only played 6 minutes.
Yeah.
And granted, he only had 2 shots, but he was 100% from the field and he was hitting threes. Why is CB playing so less? Is there a reason, or I don't know.
It's not something us as News have questioned. Look, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not I really love the basketball, but I'm not a huge guru. Like I don't know.
Oh, neither am I.
I don't know every in and out, and I don't know
yeah.
exactly how rotations can work sometimes.
Yeah.
But I from what I've seen, he plays more of that 3 position, and I think there's a lot of guys who play in that role. I mean,
Yeah. Just simply the number of people who can play there, pretty much.
Yeah. And I think it's managing minutes. I mean, what was it, last game or the game before, Greeter only had 11 seconds.
Oh, yes.
So I think it's a tricky position to fill, but then when you fill it, it's a tricky position to rotate through.
Good point. Yeah. Well, if Kel's out tomorrow night, Lee will definitely feature a lot more. Yeah.
My only worry with Kel potentially being out is that stat where for the last 4 games that Hickey has scored over 15 points, they've lost.
Oh my goodness. See, like, I don't know this stuff. This is why I called you in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who got that. I don't remember where I got that stat off. I'm pretty sure it was from the NBL, but yeah.
Wow.
So I'm not saying Hickey don't stand
Just
up.
get
I'm
to 15.
I'm just saying Hickey score 14.
14.
And Lee can get 11 of his own.
Yeah, 100%.
And then that's who can stand up. A joint effort.
Yes. Shall we talk rugby league, Grace?
Okay, let's talk
rugby league.
Rugby
so
league.
we'll talk about signing because there's been some, particularly on Friday, there was a bit of work from the Dragons. So they've signed David Clemmer for the rest of 2025. He's 31. 19. I didn't realise how many rep games he had. 19 tests, 14 origins, 238 first grade games at the Bulldogs Knights, and most recently the West Tigers. Obviously, Francis Molo today, the Telegraph reported that he is going to be going. They've mutually parted ways. Well, that's what the Telegraph's reported anyway. So they did need some forward pack stocks, and on his day, David Clemmer's hasn't been up to scratch lately, but he could be one of these guys that sort of Flano just gets a hold of, and he's a Flano type of player, I think.
Yeah, and you have an ACL done in the first round, so like you've got to fill the role, and you got to fill it quickly. And Emre Gula hasn't had the greatest of starts. Nothing against him because he's a great bloke to chat to and to do media with, but his first touch and first game was a handling error, I'm pretty sure, and then he got put on report and whatnot. But they needed the firepower in the forwards, and I think a veteran was definitely going to be the way to go once you lose one of your young'uns to an ACL.
Young'uns, there we go.
Young'uns.
So a little family, yeah.
Yeah, young'uns, one of my crowd. But no, this week obviously he didn't play in round 2. It was a little bit too late notice, but eager for. Well, they have a bye this week, don't they?
They do, yeah. So Flano's gone on the record saying he will be available next week. Do you know who they've got next week, though? They've got Melbourne Storm next week. Ouch.
I mean...
Well, welcome to first grade, kid.
Yeah, welcome to first grade.
Only 238
welcome
games.
back. Welcome back. New colours, first grade.
He wasn't featuring for the Tigers late last year, wasn't he?
No. And most of the picks we had in the system were from his Knights days. So yeah. It's been found, particularly over the last 5 years, that the Tigers don't exactly get the best out of people. So maybe this year they've started better than previous years.
I mean, I say that as a Parramatta fan. We just got pumped by 30 against them.
Aren't they like 11th on the ladder right now? Something ridiculous. I know it's only after 2 rounds, but when was the last time?
However, another stat as well. First 2 rounds, even with Melbourne having a bye and playing one less game, or whoever else had the bye, they've conceded. They have the best defence the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, well, there you go.
And Melbourne only played 1 game.
Yeah, I'd hate to see the stats on Dragons after 2 rounds.
Yeah, well, I feel like my team it's like rugby league, cruel beast.
Absolutely. And I wasn't on rugby league duties last week over the weekend, so I watched from home, but I only watched from halftime. So I clicked it on, and it was 14-12, and I was thinking, oh, this is a great game. This is a close, great game. Then come out on our left edge, scores another try. And it's like, yippee.
Yeah.
Doing well again.
Tyrell Sloan had 2.
Yeah, exactly. So I had high hopes until late in the second half, and I was like,
this is the Dragons we know.
It's not the Dragons I know because I haven't been here for very long, but it's the Dragons I've been told about.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I do feel for Flanagan.
I as a Formula One fan was watching qualifying on Saturday afternoon, so I was flicking in between both. And I
didn't even know it was on.
Oh,
I'm not a cars
that's
person.
okay. That's
sorry.
all right. That's all right. And I flicked to the footy, and it was 24-12, and I thought, okay, tip the Dragons.
Yeah.
They'll get it home.
$100.
And, oh, God. This is why I'm not a gambling man, because then I flick over and it's 25-24.
If only I had $100.
Yeah. Or how about like the Roosters? God heavens. And yeah, so I was about to say, did you see Flanagan's press conference after the game?
I did not, well, mainly because I wasn't there, and then secondly because I didn't want to put myself into that misery.
It was actually as a fan of another club, it was actually super funny. So I think he actually had
enlighten me.
He had a crack at like a journo for like asking I don't know what he asked, but it was funny.
Was it by chance? I think I know what journo he would have had a crack at, because he had a crack at that same journo up in Cogra in round 1.
It was like, you know better than that, or something like that.
Yeah, well, in round 1, his words were, those are your words. Those are your words. You're saying that, buddy. And I was like, okay, but I won't ask questions like that guy.
No. It's Flano. I feel like, because Flano's worked in the media as well, I feel like he'd be like, no.
Yeah.
Anyway, but he also said, I wouldn't want to be a Dragons player the next 12 days with the bye. And now, because he's just going to completely flock them.
Yeah.
So have you walked past Wynn Stadium and seen them going up those hills yet? Or
I haven't been to Wynn Stadium this week. I was at the golf course today.
Close enough.
Yeah, I mean, they were mowing the lawns when I was at the golf course.
Okay.
So I didn't see anyone running around. But who knows? They may have been running to Kiama and back by then. They've been doing a marathon as they're training today.
Could have been halfway to Gerringong or something
exactly.
like that. Yikes. But with players coming in, one's gone out, and Michaeli Ravalawa, he's played, I think, about 80 games for the Dragons now. Released for the rest of 2025. He's gone to Souths, but he's going to be back next preseason. Good heavens, man. Just keep it down. But he will be back for next preseason. So looks like, have Souths named him in the squad this week? I haven't noticed with him.
I know he definitely didn't play. Again, similar situation, not being eligible to play last week, but I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the team list for
I'll
Souths.
Just get that one up now, and he's been named as 18th man. Yeah, okay. So he is in the squad.
Likely.
Yeah, potentially. So they got Isaiah Tass and Fletcher Myers on the wing. He could come in. Ravalawa Ravalawa on his day, he's built like a brick shit house. He's like the toughest bloke to tackle. But like him in particular, like he is like concrete. But he's handling errors. I'm
going to be honest. I'm not too familiar with his game, mainly because, again, like I'm new to the region, and Dragons weren't on my top list of teams to support. So
no, fair enough.
When I was on the Gold Coast, when I'd flick on the footy, it's like, Dragons and Bulldogs, AFL. So
right, you're into AFL.
I mean, I mean, if it's two NRL teams I don't support versus an AFL team I kind of support, I'm going to be flicking on the AFL.
Fair.
So I haven't exactly seen him in action, but as Flanagan was talking about in the press conference, and for the exact reasons why there's this whole movement going on for this year. Our wings are just stacked at the moment, especially on that left side.
Plenty of backup now.
Yeah, it's actually a smart decision, and it's quite a player-conscious decision to allow the release and allow him to a team that he will be able to keep up with, like, stay fit,
Yeah.
get some game experience, hopefully,
But he'll be back.
but have a home next year as well.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that goes, and also if he returns perhaps better, and he may earn a spot back up in that top squad. But I think that's a little bit too far to see into the future.
Yeah, well, particularly like I think 3 of the 5 tries on the weekend were scored by wingers. Always Sloan was back in; he got a double. It'd be interesting to see how he goes on the wing, considering obviously Gutho's back at fullback now.
Yeah.
And Tua Pilote, what is it, 4 tries in 2 weeks or something like that?
And his celebrations, may I add?
Yes, of course you can.
Fantastic celebrations. I think he brings a fantastic vibe, and it makes good TV.
Yeah. Oh, and that's what we want.
And in losses, it gives crowds something to celebrate, even if you are still trailing.
100%. Now I'm going to do a little, and obviously you're going to learn this as you go, a little bit hyper-local stuff now.
Yeah.
So have you heard of, number one, have you heard of the Gerringong Lions?
I have heard of them, but mainly because of like the Lions Club International.
Yep, that's fine. And West Devils. Have you heard of the West Devils? That's a no. It's okay.
I'm gonna say
You don't have to. You're not a local. It's fine. This is all part of the local education. So Gerringong Lions playing Group 7, which is like more of the southern teams.
Yep.
They're the premiers from last year. And West Devils play in Illawarra Rugby League. Oh,
I have the launch for that on Friday.
well, there we go. There we go. This is a perfect segue into that. But they're playing each other in a pre-season clash this weekend.
Of course.
Yeah,
There's
so
two competitions coming
I don't know why Group 7 and Illawarra Rugby League aren't together. I feel like if you combine, because I think Illawarra's got like 6 or 7 teams and Group 7's got like 8. I don't understand why they just don't combine it. But that's as someone who hasn't been in the local rugby league fraternity. So this is completely uneducated comment. But I feel like, 16 teams. Anyway, they're playing each other in a preseason friendly at Sid Parish Park this weekend. Now, I'm also going to educate you. This is probably more my thing because I obviously grew up playing here. Actually, no, sorry. Before we get into that, we're going to touch on Wolves because you were there at the Wolves on the weekend. Now, I probably shouldn't have completely skimmed over that. But big win.
Are you reading my article?
Yeah, this is your article. I've got your article right here.
You're a subscriber?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, shout out to the work email.
Yes.
The work login. But 4-0.
Yeah.
And they're undefeated, which is
They are undefeated with an asterisk.
Yeah.
Undefeated, but they have 3 draws.
Yes. Yeah. And
Or was it 4 draws or something like
I
that?
think it's 3 draws, 2 wins.
Yeah.
I think around 5.
And 2 of those draws, they've conceded goals in the dying minutes of either the game or of injury time. So really it should be 1 draw and 4 wins. Nonetheless, a 4-0 win on the weekend. And it was a good game actually.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge soccer fan. I was a little bit hesitant because I don't know any of the players.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Learning around. But no, it was a goal. Alex, I'm so sorry, Alex. I don't know how to pronounce your
Alex
last name.
Maciavecchia?
Yeah, goal in the opening minutes. Fantastic. Don't know the terminology either, but line break through the defence.
Yeah, penetrating pass, I'll call it.
Dude,
We'll
go with that.
We'll go with that.
Go with that.
I was involved for a while,
it was a
so
really
you can quiz me on it.
really nice goal to start it off. And then Raphael.
Leai, yes. He's
a
Solomon
double
Islands.
for him. Yes. And, if it wasn't for him being so exhausted in those dying minutes, like he played nearly a whole game, had to be taken off, was really gunning for a hat trick, but just didn't get there. No, it was a good show. It was.
Yeah.
And I think they were pretty determined to end that draw streak.
There's something about them this year. I don't know, from looking from afar, something looks like about them. Obviously, they got their new coach, Warren Grieve. But I saw a post come up here earlier today. So, obviously, Nicholas Olsen and Raphael Leai, 2 new players, 2 dangerous players. So, the numbers here, they've got both played 6 games. All starts except for 1 for Leai. So, he started 5 out of the 6. Nicholas Olsen started 6. Olsen's got 5 goals and 2 assists. Leai's got 2 and 2. So between them, 4 plus 7 gives you 11 in 6 games. So between them, 11 goal contributions. And obviously four 4-0 on the weekend, top result. Yeah, I think Agron wrote this article, but did you see the article a couple of weeks ago where like I think it was Agron speaking to Tyrell Sloan and Raphael Lehi because they were saying, "Oh, good luck Hawks," everything before the championship series.
Yeah,
and you could tell Sloaney was like he was a fan, and then you got Lehi. He's like you could tell he like never watched it before. He's like thumbs up.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be honest. We were. Sitting,
it was such a nice article. It was nice.
It was. It was a great concept as well.
I just thought it was funny.
Sloan didn't rock up for the photo. And then
that's why he was on the inlet.
It was superimposed. And then Raphael didn't really know what the Hawks were, so it was
I love that.
It was like writing this article, but trying to get everyone to be on the same page. Like it was done well in the end, and I think Raphael's ended up gone and watching or supporting some Hawks. After
fantastic!
All.
Yeah, that's great.
He's such a nice I
will give him credit. Yeah, fantastic, unreal.
But nice. I do remember that.
That's so good. So one thing that came out of the game in particular, you mentioned it earlier, Dylan Ryan broke a nose.
Yes.
Was it facing the right way as he walked off the field?
I wasn't
and that's
close.
not the joke.
I wasn't close enough, but it looked bad when he went down in that tackle and then he didn't get up and they were calling over the medics. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening? From where I was sitting, I didn't know if it was a leg, a hip, or a neck or a nose.
None of those worked
until
well
he
with
stood
the
up
nose.
and there was like holding his nose and then he'd look at the tissue and the blood would pour down. And he's like, okay, that's a nose.
Yeah.
But no, Warren Grieve after the game, he said that Dylan had gone off to hospital and he was getting looked at and it looked okay. It was they'd be making a decision about it. Dylan himself wanted to continue playing even though it was injury time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he'll want to play this week.
Yeah.
But he was on FaceTime with the boys congratulating them for the win.
Oh, there you go.
So he's okay.
You know, fun fact, Dylan Ryan actually played in the Liverpool Academy over in the Premier League.
Are we talking about Liverpool as in Sydney Liverpool?
No, we're talking
like
about Liverpool,
like
Liverpool FC.
English Premier League.
Yeah, English Premier League.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Good on
Yeah,
Dylan.
he's he actually went to the same school as me. He was a year younger.
Oh, just flex.
But yeah, and then obviously I think he played at Melbourne Victory as well, if I remember. So
Is
he's
he prone
been in
to
those.
broken noses?
I don't think so.
Yeah, okay.
I hope not.
First
anyway.
time for everything.
Yeah, it's like that meme. First time, yeah, first time. But anyway, so yeah, we'll see how. Keep an eye on that one. I don't know. Warren seems like an interesting chat. He seems like he seems like a pretty clued up guy. We'll have to call him up on the pod one day.
I mean, I'm not going to lie and say I was surprised by the fact that he had a British accent. I rock up to soccer games, football games, and I just assume everyone's going to be English.
there's always like in local things, like in the junior ones, the ones where it's just community stuff. Literally, some people who are clueless will look at someone who's like, "You got an English accent. Oh, you must know what you're talking about."
I also think it's the hair. I don't know. Every when I was on the dating apps, like there's one Raya. It's a celebrity dating app, and it doesn't show you the location. Oh, it shows you the location, but it doesn't decide who they show you based on location. So it shows you from people all over the world.
Yeah.
And my favorite game ever, this is really bad to admit, but I'd cover the location and I'd try and guess where they were. Oh my God. Where they were based.
Just playing with people's lives.
Every single time I guess British.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a look. It's a real
It's the
look.
nose and the teeth most of the time.
No, for me it's the hair.
The hair, right.
gives it away. It's
that
the soccer
Anglo-Saxon European wind hair. Okay, so we're going to go to where I was going to before I skimmed over the walls, and that's the Illawarra Premier League, and I don't think you've covered that just yet,
No, I haven't.
but that's okay. So for the IPL's round 2 on the weekend, we'll rattle off some results. So Cringilla 2-2 against Wollongong Olympic. Tarrawanna looking pretty good, 3-0 over Helensburgh. Bulleye looking good as well, 3-0 over Oak Flats, who are the newly promoted team. They had a big win, first win in the top flight last week. But Bulleye sort of brought them back down to earth. Who would have thought I read news on the radio for a living? Albion Park went down 2-1 Conno. That's not a good result for Albion Park, considering they've got a couple of big signings. Shell Harbour 3-2 over Wollongong United was seen as a bit of an upset, and Port Kembla 1-1 over South Coast. Both those sides, I think, lost in the first round. And you'll learn all about this, the fun dynamic of local football Yeah. So for this weekend, fixtures 22nd of March, Saturday, we've got Oak Flats hosting Port Kembla, 2:30 Saturday. Tarrawanna hosts Cringilla, 2:30 Saturday. Wollongong United hosts Albion Park White Eagles. Both sides coming off a loss, both two big clubs in the league. 2:45, very unique time there. Coniston, who are undefeated, one of the two teams undefeated, take on Helensburgh, 3 o'clock at, I think, JJ Kelly. And South Coast United take on Shellharbour for the night game at Ian McLennan Park, the AstroTurf, at 7 o'clock. Sunday, Wollongong Olympic and Bulli. That's going to be a really good game, actually, for the locals. And second tier, Illawarra District League. So this is second tier.
Lots of leagues going on.
Yes, yeah. So there's two main ones, and then there's a community league. Thurul beat Bellambi 6-0. Big win. You're just like, I didn't watch this.
I'm no expert, but I don't think that's a good result.
That's not good, no. Unanderra 1-0 over Bellambi. Gerringong 3-1 over Rilla. Picton 2-1 over Shoalhaven, yeah. Corrimal 9-3 over Fernhill, and it was like Fernhill's 90th anniversary game as well. And Berkeley 4-2 over University of Wollongong. So fixtures this week, we've got Saturday 22nd of March, we got Berkeley against Warilla, 3 o'clock. UOW against Unanderra, 3 o'clock. Bally against Shoalhaven, 3 o'clock. A lot of fixtures. Bellambi against Picton, 3 o'clock. Corrimal against Gerringong, 2:30. I think that might be Sunday. And Thurul against Fernhill, 3 o'clock, I believe, on Sunday. Yeah, 9-3. That's not pretty, particularly when it's your 90th anniversary.
Welfare check?
Yeah, welfare check. Fernhill Foxes, 90th anniversary.
No, they're Foxes?
Yes, yeah. Actually,
the
my
heartstrings.
grandfather used to coach them years ago.
Oh, don't tell me that.
fact.
So sad.
But a little one to finish off. So the women's IPL or the women's Premier League starts this weekend, actually. And for the games, so Friday night at JJ Kelly, Coniston take on Thurul. Now, Coniston are new to this league, so this will be their first ever IPL game, WPL game. And on Sunday, we've got Shoalhaven taking on University, 3 o'clock down in Nowra. Shellharbour take on Bulli, 3 o'clock. And Woonona Sharks have the bye. Woonona, I think, may have won the grand final last year. Well, they were definitely up there. But yeah, so the women's IPL is a new concept. That's only a couple of years old, I think, that league. But yeah, did we miss anything? Because I know I missed the women's PGA earlier.
Well, I don't think we missed anything.
No.
We added some flavour.
Right.
Added some extra stuff to
Golfing,
talk about.
driving flavour. So what's on the agenda for you this week?
Oh, what day is it?
It is Tuesday. See, I can't even pronounce
Is it only Tuesday?
It is only Tuesday.
Oh my gosh.
And it's getting quite dark a lot earlier now.
I mean, tomorrow, it's a usual day. My colleague Agron is being flown down to Melbourne to cover the game, so that's really exciting for him. Yeah.
This is like really exciting for him.
I'll be watching it from home. Maybe I'll go out to a pub or something. I don't know. It depends.
Good plan.
Yeah, it depends if I can afford it. Thursday, if Hawks win, then I'll be off Thursday working Sunday. Otherwise, it's just a normal week. Friday, I've got a late shift. And then fingers crossed I'm working Sunday.
Yeah, we'll
I really
hope
want
so.
to work Sunday.
Well, hopefully we're talking about next time. We're talking about a Hawks first championship in 23 years.
Guys, I wasn't alive for the last one. I need to see it.
We did talk about that, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
I can't remember, and you weren't alive.
Yeah, well.
Yeah,
shame.
but thank you for coming in again.
That's okay.
It's good to chat again, and so.
I got the fancy gear this time. Not
Fancy gear, we've
Zoom
upgraded.
In my bedroom.
No Zoom this time. And shout out to Jack, our content guy at work here, who lent me his light as well. The temporary Gong Studios for the point being with the plant in the background as well. But thank you. See you next week.